Hello and welcome to another episode of One Fall WrestleCast Live. I had to take off last week because I'm silly, and we're on Monday instead of Sunday because I'm silly. And yeah, seems like everything's been my fault these days. Nobody here to blame since Derek doesn't show up anymore, huh? Yeah, so we got a couple weeks worth of stuff to talk about. Got to recap AEW All Out. We won't spend too much time on that because the wrestling pundits have already done that for us. Adam Cole and Britt Baker potentially not a thing anymore. Nikki Bella gets beat up. What's going to happen with that? I don't know if we've talked about that yet. Tom, have we talked about that
not.
yet?
We have
Okay.
not.
Okay.
She's filed for divorce.
She has filed for divorce. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of ground to cover. You don't need to hear from me.
Welcome to the One Fall WrestleCast.
I'll tell you what, bud. I am not the one today. Like that intro was rough, bro. Whew, buddy.
I was not the one on Friday. I was. I got that first head cold of the school year. You know, the one the kids bring back when they're a little snotty, and then it hits you like, bam! Like, jeez. So that was me Friday. I actually ended up taking a half a day because I felt like my face was wet, but on the inside, you know that feeling? It's pretty terrible. Yeah, I could feel my sinuses. I don't know that I'm fully recovered yet, at least in my sinuses, like in here. I don't know why. At some point, I think it was, you know, every year you get a new and exciting old age thing. I think last year, I think 38 or 39 was my sinuses now are now old. So I am so that's where that seems to be where the colds sit now.
See, as somebody that's had sinus problems their entire life, you know, for me, it's been the ears have been the hot spot for me. Like I know I'm getting sick when I can't hear out of the only good ear that I have.
Knock on wood, that has not hit me yet, but I'm certain it's coming. I'm starting I can already tell. I know it's coming at 40 is going to be the arthritis in the hands. That's already, I can already tell that's my next present. So, but yeah, that's the ears. Luckily, not yet, but I'm sure I'll get there.
Yeah. So you know, I just can never just have a normal day. You know.
No.
I mean, it could be a lot worse though. Like, just imagine, you know, we could be walking through the airport and just be hounded by our fans wanting autographs and whatnot.
We could. Nobody wants my autograph at the airport.
I mean, a lot of people want CM Punk's autograph at the airport, and he's just like, "Hey, man, like this isn't the time. Can you just like, if I've got to ask you multiple times to stop following me, we have a problem."
CM Punk will choke a guy too, so let's not.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just a little,
just a little bit. He'll choke you a little bit.
So I know that we've talked about this in the past, but CM Punk is now another massive name added to a list of seemingly WWE performers that are asking for privacy and the ability to do their daily commute, so to speak, without incident. You think it's cool for like public performers to be like, "Hey, man, can I just?"
So I think there's
in a public place, more or less, is what
I think. There's two kinds of interactions you can have with people like that. The one where it's like, "Hey, man, big fan," and nobody stops their own momentum.
I had with Baron Corbin in Atlanta.
Exactly, and the kind like we've all had. You know, I mean, I know I've been lucky enough to have interactions like that as well.
I I had a really great interaction with Seth Rollins at a Sheetz gas station.
I had a great interaction with Andrew McCutcheon in Station Square or Market Square one time. I was just sitting there eating my sandwich by myself, my DeBella sandwich, and he sat down. He was on the phone with his girlfriend at the time, now his wife. He said, "You mind if I sit here?" He sat down. He had a conversation. I just kept eating my sandwich. When he was done with his conversation, he said, "Thanks, man." I got a little fist bump. I was like, "Hey, man, big fan." Got a little fist bump, and he went about his merry way. But I think that he seemed pretty happy that I didn't mob him, and that his, my being there meant that he also wasn't mobbed, and he just kind of sat and had his little phone conversation. So I think
I think that, like when I met Seth Rollins at Sheetz, he was just waiting for his MTO. They were traveling from Wheeling, West Virginia to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and one of those third market house shows, and we're stopped in my hometown and our hometown, and
yeah.
They're just in there getting an MTO, man, and I had a real quick, hey, show was awesome tonight. Appreciate, and I think everything's been going really well. We had a really, really good talk back and forth. I believe that I was wearing a Triple H t-shirt. So like, as I go to approach him where he's patiently waiting for his MTO, and I've got a wrestling t-shirt on and also have an MTO bag in my hand, he's probably like, fuck me.
He definitely was.
You know what I mean? And then I get over there and just like, hey, man, great show tonight. Looking forward to, seeing where you're going, blah, blah, blah. We just chit-chatted a little bit. Nothing crazy. He got a sandwich, went on his way. I think that is the type of reaction that a person of stature would prefer to have with a fan.
Just a hey, how are? It's almost like just a hi, how are you kind of thing. I think there's a difference between that and getting mobbed for autographs.
I think in 2024, pictures is probably the
right. I've run into a few celebrities, and at no point have I ever been like, let's have a picture, let's do this, I don't think that's. I know for them that sucks, because I'm sure it happens to them 100 times a day. And I feel like that's sort of like where kind of you draw the line, where you sort of like, where it goes from like, hey man, great show, hey man, big fan kind of a thing, to like, hey man, let me get in your way. Let me get up in your business. I think a polite interaction is probably fine. Once it gets beyond that, you don't want to be. And honestly, if I ever had, this has never happened to me, but if I'd ever recognized someone and be like, oh, hey man, big fan, and they were just like, fuck off. That's probably okay too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I know that they've had, I'm probably the 100th person that day that's recognized them. And that's gotta get old. I feel like,
please excuse me.
I'll keep going. I feel like if you're a guy like a Seth Rollins or somebody who in street clothes kind of looks relatively normal, and you don't necessarily stand out like a sore thumb because you're not, 6'8" and, jacked to all hell. Like, if you're somebody like that, I feel like it's maybe not as super common, because you could put your hat on or whatever, wear your jacket. If you're not in your ring gear, maybe even, the only people that are going to recognize you are like super fans who really get a look at your face. But if you've got a hat on and your regular street clothes, maybe you don't have as many interactions. But a guy like CM Punk, a guy that's been, that's very, very recognizable with the tattoos and stuff, I would imagine somebody who is of that stature, of like a main event superstar, probably Seth Rollins now. I know when Walt met him, back in Wheeling, that probably would have been not as, he would not have had necessarily the stature that he has to this day. However, a guy the stature of CM Punk now, Rhea Ripley, who has happened to before, and she has spoken out publicly, where she actually felt sort of in danger because of how many people had mobbed, how many, adult men were surrounding her. And, sure, we think of these superstars like they're big, strong, and they are. But at the same time, like, these are just human beings, and they're not people that are
crazy. women.
These are not people who are like. These are not people who are just like
drink.
Ready to.
I cannot deal.
I hear Walt. I don't see Walt though. Anyway, what I was saying was these are not necessarily, the superstars and the superheroes that we see them to be. I think for a guy like Seth Rollins, it's probably a little easier. At least it was probably at the time when you had met him, because he may not have been as big of a star and out of his ring gear and stuff. If he's just in normal clothes with a hat on.
Yeah, but I mean, he was still I think he was coming. He was in the middle of the rebuild, reclaim.
So, I mean, he was a top guy at the time.
Yeah, it was after he tore his ACL.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, if he's not in the get up and everything, like, you don't necessarily recognize him. CM Punk, like I was saying, is super with the tattoos and stuff, super recognizable. Guys like The Undertaker didn't get mobbed because he always looked scary and people were actually legitimately afraid of him. But guys like The Big Show, guys like Andre the Giant, guys who were just larger than life, who were like, easily recognizable because it's the biggest human you've ever seen in your life.
Yep.
Right? Those guys are like constantly mobbed by this stuff. Rhea Ripley.
She's another one. She spoke out 2 years ago about this.
I don't even know if it was that long ago, but yeah, she was like having a real hard time because, I mean, granted, she's a big, strong lady, but like when you're surrounded by 4 or 5 adult men, like that's
like, too much, man.
It's too much. Yeah, and that's it. That's I think really where the fans particularly need to understand. You can't just mob people because you recognize them as like people that you like. And I think that wrestling is getting real hot again in the sense that like a lot of people are watching, especially WWE. So this happened. This is an unfortunate like side effect of that, in that especially guys like CM Punk or whatever, who are just trying to catch their layover flight.
Yeah, man. Like, and I think that's really where what this boils down to. It's like, hey, listen, I'm a fan too. You're a fan. If you want to get a picture with somebody and you want their autograph,
Comic-Con, they're there.
Go see them at a fucking meet and greet. Okay,
they're there.
If you want to be a respectful human being and a great fan to these people, compliment their work and fucking let them go on with their life. All right.
And if you really want a picture and an autograph and stuff, pay for it and go to the meet and greet.
That's it. And I understand in 2024, everybody wants a fucking picture because, oh my God, I met CM Punk. No, you didn't. You
bothered CM Punk. You saw him at an airport because that's where he spends half of his life, and you bothered CM Punk is what you did.
Yes. And, everybody's got to have their picture to prove it or it didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? It's just give me a break. Leave these people alone. Say hello. Give them a compliment. How you doing? Keep it moving. Hey, man, really, really interesting little piece of business that I feel like needs to be discussed, and that is NXT's quiet acquiring of the Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah, they should. I didn't watch on Tuesday. They're going to.
I think they're holding them for the CW.
Yeah, that's but yeah, I think that's a great acquisition. Those guys are lighting the world on fire right now.
And they've been like kind of, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley have been kind of steady Eddie of the quote unquote independents or the under promotions. These are names that even the casual type fan could have heard or read.
Chris Sabin was in WWE. No,
that's different. It's not. Okay. Maybe he was. I don't remember.
I feel like he made a little run through back.
I don't remember
a few years ago.
No, I don't think so. Don't think so. But regardless, I think that.
Then that's how independent famous he is. That I'm like, what, the WWE?
Yeah, and then everybody kind of believed that when their TNA contract expired that they were going to be heading to AEW because that's more their cup of tea, if you will. And it appears that they're on their way to NXT.
Now he was in Ring of Honor, and then and he was in TNA when TNA was hot back in like 2000.
That's how you know him.
03 to 07 when TNA was hot and getting a couple million views a week. He was in TNA, so he's a TNA long timer. That's why the name sounds familiar, because he has interacted with said WWE Hall of Famers and All Stars. Not that he was on TNA when TNA was real hot back in the early 2000s.
So, I think that's a good deal, right? Like, I think that they're going to absolutely add a certain level of excitement to the tag team division in WWE that seems to be
it really ebbs
growing
and flows. It's growing now. It's on the upswing now, but the WWE tag division really ebbs and flows, right? It sometimes NXT's tag stuff gets hot. I love what Nathan Frazier and Axiom are doing right now. I think they're it's kind of a weird collection of people, but I think that what they do is good. And then it does seem to be getting hot over on NXT. So and NXT itself has been really, really good, like really good, solid shows front to back. And you get to see a lot of like guys who are, I think, really going to be top stars here coming up soon. They've got a really good class of kids down there right now, and it's starting to feel important again.
Yeah. It's even had my attention recently.
And Motor City Machine Guns are a great addition. This is hopefully going to work out for them in the same way that like when the Revival was in NXT. Hopefully it'll sort of be one of those kind of things where they're just kind of getting, the tag division just gets real hot and they bring in a real hot like indie tag team like them and just sort of like they pull great matches out of literally everybody and elevate everybody around. So hopefully this is a similar situation.
Yeah. Hey, man, you got to let Chef Shawn Michaels cook, baby. That's where we're at with it. Hey, so did you see that Matt Riddle was recently quoted, something along the lines of, "Yeah, I believe I'll make it back to WWE at some point."
I did see that. I'm not as confident as Mr. Riddle.
I mean, Tony Khan said, "Nah, man, I'm good. Like I've got zero intention of giving that guy a
not
deal."
To derail you, and we should talk, but and I didn't. But did Tony Khan also said no to Bobby Lashley? So see, I get that, and I don't know that Riddle's necessarily a problem backstage. I do think that his he likes, and he's a little too loudmouthed about it. I think he likes cocaine and porn stars a little more than anybody's comfortable with. And I think that's I think that's kind of his main problem.
Well, then, I mean, it sounds like him and Tony would get along great. Like, what is the problem here?
I don't know, but that's what he was suspended by WWE for a few times, because after he was released, they asked him like, "What'd you get suspended for?" "Oh, cocaine." "No, they don't test for weed anymore. It was cocaine." Yeah. So Matt Riddle tends to, like I said, it seems to me like he likes cocaine and porn stars a little too much for everybody to be comfortable with. So I could see how, but again, like you said, I don't know why Tony would have a problem with that, unless somebody backstage who he likes, unless he probably rubbed Daniel Bryan the wrong way at one point, and Daniel Bryan was like, "No, fuck that guy."
Yeah, fuck that guy.
And if that's the nail in the coffin for you, really. So do I think he'll be back in WWE at some point? Honestly, I could see it. I bet he's got friends backstage still. I don't know who was the catalyst in him getting canned, because Vince was still there when Riddle got canned. And he was part of RK Bro was selling tons of merch, and they were super over. They were
I
very
mean, and
often.
they were not hiding the weed influence on that merch either.
Not at all. But like I said, I think the Matt Riddle problem was not so much the weed influence, because I think that's a shtick that can be kind of popular. I mean, just look at like Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a shtick that
Who
can
we saw this week on WWE television.
We did indeed, and Vicky Guerrero, who can get fucked. But who else was there? There was
Teddy
a third.
Long was there.
Teddy Long, that's who was there.
Doc Hendricks was there.
Doc Hendricks was there.
I would have listened. They missed the boat, okay, because they could have really played to the smart mark with that. And they, instead of putting Michael P.S. Hayes on his name placard, they should have put Doc Hendricks. They would have gotten such a better fucking reaction from the IWC. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would have been one of those things that we would have been like, oh, they're watching. They're paying attention.
Yep. But, as far as Matt Riddle's concerned, I could see him back. I don't think it's coming anytime soon. And probably by the time that, time heals all wounds, but probably by the time those wounds are healed, I don't think there's going to be any necessity for him. I think I think, his act, to reform RK Bro would be cool. But at the same time,
it wouldn't.
But yeah, at the same, like, Randy doesn't need him right now. It's totally
the eventual Randy heel turn. Like,
yeah,
I think Randy's in a sweet spot right now, just kind of getting to be Randy. He's earned the right to just do whatever he wants, and the crowd's going to love him for it.
Randy's putting on some of the best matches Randy's put on in his whole career.
I can't believe he signed a 5-year extension, because I mean, after this neck surgery, he was like, I don't know how this is going to be a short shelf life.
I think he's in tremendous shape. I think that he could do it. If anybody could do it, it's Randy Orton. I mean, what's that 5-year extension put him at? 53 or so? When it's up?
Yeah.
He's only 10. He's not even 10 years older than we are.
Yeah, but we say the same thing about AJ Styles, and he's sitting in catering every week.
I think that's AJ's own doing at the moment, to be honest. I think AJ's been teasing retirement for so long that are they really just going to bring out the Pure Fusion Collective every week to lose? Good Lord. These women have not won a match independently or together ever.
It's because they have a terrible fucking faction name.
They have a terrible faction name. It's the worst faction name I've ever heard. But also,
and like that's a great collection of female talent.
They've not won a match. Why do they just get But they're on TV every week, but they lose every single week. They lose more than the Bushwhackers did.
Yeah, but I mean, are they doing a good job of keeping their heat? Are they being given the opportunity to keep their heat?
No, they didn't even because Zoe Stark just lost quickly to Natty, and Natty got pulled out by a run-in. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me. It's dumb. Also, Finn Balor has not. Finn Balor and JD McDonough have still not defended their titles.
Oh,
it's been like 80 some days they've not defended their titles.
Did that get brought up?
I brought it up last. It was noticed online last week. It's not been brought up yet, but Finn's on TV every week with the title on his shoulder. They both have wrestled. It's not like one of them's hurt either. It's just they're not defending. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I think they're really just focused on the storyline with the Terror Twins.
Yeah, Rhea's in Finn's face right now.
Our Terror Twins. Such a terrible fucking name. Good Lord.
Really are. I feel like they've run out of faction names. It seems like we're on a downswing of faction names. Terror Twin, Pure Fusion Collective. Like these are not. Who's coming up with these names? Because find somebody else to come up with names, because these are not names.
That's good shit, pal.
Yeah. Is he the one? Is he the?
I mean,
that's his only input. Is like
Terror Twins is pal. Terror Twins is right out of the book of Vince McMahon, bro.
like is that his only input now on the shows? Because otherwise the shows are completely different.
No, he has no input at all. Good God. Hey, so speaking of Vince, did you see the trailer for the docuseries coming out on Netflix?
I did.
What do you think about that?
I don't think it's going to be. look, Raw's going to Netflix next year. I don't think it's going to bury Vince. I don't think it's going to even bring up anything about the current situation. If it does, it'll brush over it. It'll be like, who knows what happened? I don't know anything.
Oh, so you really think Netflix is going to take the high road on this?
I think they're going to brush over on the most current stuff. I think they might dive deep into like the steroid trials and like past stuff. But I don't think they're gonna dig up the nitty gritty new stuff, especially not right before Raw goes on Netflix in January. Because that's when's this drop? Like this month?
In like 10 days.
Like this month. Like there's no way.
9 days, September 25th.
There's
all 6
no
episodes
way.
go live.
There is no way they are gonna drag him through the glass on what's ongoing currently.
You don't think?
I can't imagine them putting that out there and having like the general, because like we as wrestling fans know what's going on because we've paid attention to it and it was in the news and whatever, but it's since gone away and the general public has forgotten. But like think about like, and this was produced by the same guy that did Tiger King.
Yes.
So imagine them parading this out there right before Raw comes to Netflix, on Netflix. So they're looking for the Netflix audience to watch wrestling on Mondays, in addition to us. I can't imagine that that's what's going to happen. I mean, maybe it will, but man, I just can't imagine they'll do that.
I don't know, man. Like I'm actually really surprised at your stance on this.
It doesn't make sense to me for them to do that. You know,
like I was prepared to debate you on this, and you know, like,
what do you think? Did you think that I would think that Netflix would do what's bad for business?
Yeah.
No. Why would they do that? Should they have? Yeah, absolutely. They should have dug.
Man, I misjudged the fuck out of this.
They should have dug to China on this, but I don't think they're gonna.
You know, generally, right? Like, Tom and I have pretty similar views on things when it comes to the products, and our opinion is generally the same, but there's like nuances and things that Tom and I disagree about, and those are the things that we choose to argue about. I was not expecting this to go this way.
Do you agree with me then that they're not gonna do? They're not gonna.
Yeah, I think they're gonna fucking like. It's gonna be touch and go, buddy.
Yeah, no, there's no way. It's only because Raw is coming to Netflix. If Raw wasn't coming to Netflix, I'd be like, oh yeah, they're gonna bury this motherfucker.
But everybody wants to try to get you to believe that like this is gonna be, you know. I don't want to say fair and unbiased because editing can make anything fair and unbiased, or it can make it look like fucking a train wreck, you know, just a fiery, just train wreck. And I don't know. There's no way.
I think
that Netflix is going to put something out that's going to bury their $5 billion friend.
Exactly. That's exactly. There's no way. Look, I think they might bury.
They've got 5 billion reasons.
Yeah, I think they might bury Johnny Ace. I think inadvertent. I think that in a roundabout, they'll probably bury Johnny Ace.
Everybody's making a big deal about the fact that WWE doesn't have a producer credit in this, and that's why everybody thinks that Netflix is going to nail Vince McMahon to the fucking wall.
No, I don't think they're going to nail Vince McMahon to the wall. I think they're going to nail Johnny Ace to the wall.
Oh, did you just came up with that?
No. So, okay. So who was so Tiger King, right? Let's think about Tiger King. Joe Exotic, clear villain, right?
Yeah.
But who came out looking worse? Him?
Carol Baskins.
Carol Baskins. Exactly. So they're going to pick somebody to be Carol Baskins who is not Vince McMahon.
Oh my God. I love that you rationalize this.
Somebody who is not Vince McMahon. The only person who I can think of that'll get that is Johnny Ace, but it's going to be somebody. Somebody's going to get it.
What if it's Bruce Pritchard?
What if it's JR?
By God, dude, he'll fucking lose his shit.
He'll
have a stroke.
There's a
again.
lot of footage of JR like admitting to like, especially on the Vice stuff, just admitting to like being like, so what? It's fucking pro wrestling. Like there's a lot of that footage. A lot of that exists.
And here's another thing too, to piggyback off of that. So like I was listening to 83 Weeks this past week and they were talking about this, and Eric took the middle. Like he didn't want to lean one way or the other, right? He played both sides. He played both sides of the balls.
Yeah, okay.
He definitely kept a
I mean,
very
I don't
politically
think
correct
Vince is going to
answer.
look great, but I think Vince is going to come off like Joe Exotic.
But
like, crazy, but not terribly wrong.
I agree. I like your mode of thinking here, but I tell you that about Bischoff because he made a comment that really stuck out to me, and this kind of goes with your JR synopsis, right? Eric was like, I was approached to participate in this, and I respectfully declined. He said, but yet my face that was talking was in the trailer. So I'm going to be really interested to see what I say.
I don't think they bury Eric Bischoff. I don't think Eric Bischoff is.
No, that's not what I'm implying, but it seems like they were given full access to the archives. And they're able to just pull out whatever they wanted to use. So that should be extremely, extremely interesting because this was a Vince McMahon brainchild.
Yeah, that's telling then, right? If they were given access to the archives, that's pretty telling, right?
I mean, it might be
because who keeps those archives?
WWE.
And who up until very, very recently was the guy who could say, delete that shit, pal.
The guy that started this entire endeavor in the first place with this docuseries about him.
So, like I said, is Vince going to come off crazy and as not the hero of the story? Yeah, absolutely. Is Vince going to come off as the megalomaniac supervillain terrorizer that he really is? No, I don't.
Hey, you know what I can't wait for? I can't wait for fucking mainstream humanity to be doing the Vince walk in the mall.
Oh yeah, look, there's also the possibility that this flops ridiculously, and I think that Netflix is starting to catch wind of that because we heard rumors last week that WWE is not happy with how Vince was buried in this. We started to hear rumors about that last week, and I'm thinking that the general population is starting to think that they're probably not gonna say the things that they ought to say, and I think we're gonna get villains who are not Vince. Like we got who was the other guy in Tiger King? Doc Antle, who came out looking even more batshit crazy. Just all that, like those, like I think we're gonna get more of that. They're gonna be like, yeah, well, there's this guy who's crazy, but look at these other crazy people. And I think it's gonna be more like that. I'm definitely interested to watch. I'm in 100 when it debuts. I'm day one gonna be we're sitting down. I'm sitting down and I'm watching it day one. And I'll watch every episode day one. But I feel like if you're looking for this to be some sort of Vince McMahon burial of like he pooped on a girl's head, we might get a sprinkle of that in the very last episode, and it'll be like 2 minutes of like a 10-hour series.
All right, well, we'll just have to stay tuned. We'll revisit this after it drops in a couple of weeks.
I can't wait because I can't wait to watch it.
I'm gonna definitely. I'll be fucking front row.
I do feel like I'm gonna be disappointed, but I can't wait to watch it.
I'm ready to go on it myself. Hey, have you seen? Have you seen been on the internet? Been on the old X, the
Unfortunately.
Twitter.
Unfortunately.
Have you seen this exchange between Logan Paul and Kevin Nash and now they're talking about each other on their podcasts. And
Yes, I have.
Are they shooting an angle, brother?
You know, I don't know if they are, but it sure seems like they might be.
For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, last week I think Kevin Nash, or I'm sorry, Hulk Hogan was on the Impulsive podcast, and they were talking, and Hulk put Logan Paul over. You know, said, "Hey,
Hulk
brother."
Also said that they forgave Chris Benoit for all the things he did, which is insane. Hulk Hogan is insane. Like, I don't understand who just keeps. I mean, I know who keeps giving him microphones, but like, if you were a Hulk Hogan is now like the pinnacle of like, don't meet your heroes and don't watch your heroes get old, because like, good God.
Seems that Terry's not all about eating your vitamins and saying your prayers, brother. Yeah. But so anyway, so Hulk puts Logan Paul over, and Kevin Nash took exception to this because they were talking inside baseball, you know, and Logan Paul said to Hulk, he's like, I don't know what you mean by that. And Hulk was talking about for shoot or for work. And Logan said something to the effect that he didn't know what that meant. Like, you know, and Hulk had to school him. So Kevin comes out and he was like, this guy's a clown. He thinks that he's one of the boys, and he's just not. Like, just because you go out and you have some great matches doesn't make you one of the boys. He's like, the boy, everybody's in their fucking motorhomes. He was like, no, there's no camaraderie. There's nothing going on. And the fact that this guy's parading around thinking he's a top guy and he doesn't even know the difference between a work and a shoot, fucking ridiculous. Well, then Logan Paul hits back and says, I don't know who you are.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm pretty sure Logan Paul knows the difference between a work and a shoot. And I think this is a work. This ain't a shoot. I think this is a work.
Internet clicks, bub. These two guys both have successful podcasts. They're both a part of the wrestling space. One's a crotchety old man who's not afraid or ashamed to be a crotchety old man. You know, and I mean, a lot of things he says I agree with when I do see some of his headlines. I need to start working his show into my week. But you know, everybody's gotta be pointing at the clouds every once in a while, right? Yelling at the clouds, so to speak.
Old man yells at cloud, yeah.
Kevin Nash is that guy, right? Stay off my lawn, brother. But you know, Logan Paul says, "Hey man, I'm a top 5 guy," and Kevin Nash did not appreciate that, not one bit.
It all seems like a work to me, and that's and I say that with the kindest of ways. And I think that if it is, and you know, we won't find out about it, but I think that's the beauty of it. And I like it, whether it's a work or a shoot, I don't care, because I like it, and I think it's good for the business. I think it's good for clicks. I think it's good for everybody. I think, look, Logan Paul pisses off Kevin Nash is next time we see Logan Paul on WWE TV, they're going to talk about it. Michael Cole's going to say it, or you know, whomever else. Like, they're going to talk about it. I'm excited. It's regardless of whether or not they're actually mad at each other. I'm sure Logan Paul doesn't care. Regardless of whether or not Kevin Nash is actually mad, it's good business. And I think they both can see that it's good business. So,
absolutely,
you know, there's that. So yeah, keep it going. I'm interested. Let's go. Keep going.
Yeah.
Fight for real or for fake. I don't care.
Who cares?
I'll watch it either way.
That's it.
I don't care.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Hey, so a lot of rumors circulating around AEW and the fallout from All Out. One of those is that Adam Cole and Britt Baker may or may not still be together.
Apparently, and the internet seems to be divided on this. A lot of the comments that I read, because Conan said it first on his podcast, and after he said it, the clip circulated Twitter, and a lot of people were like, Adam Cole's been dating another woman for like a year. But I don't think that's the case, because Well, I don't think that he's been dating another woman for like a year. I don't think that's the case. If they did break up, I don't know why we would know or why we should know, because neither of them have really been on television much. And I know Britt had a like mini stroke or something.
Yeah, that's the word on the street, coming out of her comeback.
So it's all a kind of weird, like it's a weird blur, and I feel like this, whether this is true or not, it's probably the least interesting thing about the two of them, wrestling wise, because their lives together are not nearly as interesting as their lives in wrestling, or lack thereof, the lack thereof within wrestling in the last year and a half.
Yeah, easy year and a half.
It's really like, for that to come out on the internet to like argue about it's interesting.
Must have been slow business week or slow drama week, huh?
Apparently, after it was very, very dramatic last week. But it's just, I don't know. And I think really what they're trying to say is, Britt Baker is unhinged, because remember there was all that guff about her and MJF a couple weeks ago. And I think this is sort of just like they're wanting to throw fuel on that fire. And back to whether or not it's a work or a shoot, is this a similar kind of a thing, right? Like, it doesn't matter if Adam Cole and Britt Baker are still together or not, but if we're not seeing them on TV, whether it's because Adam Cole's still rehabbing his ankle, or and Britt's still recovering from her injury too. This at least keeps them in the news and stuff. So whether or not they broke up or not, is it a shoot? Does it matter? That kind of a thing.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think so. Part of me wants to think that it's a shoot in the sense that, like, they're not going to be on TV, but this will still kind of keep them fresh in everybody's mind. And then when they do finally come back, this is kind of like maybe something AEW is trying to do, right? Trying to just to create buzz, to get people talking about it, to get people.
Well, they do love working the dirt sheets and the internet.
They do, and especially guys like Conan, who will say whatever you tell them. Like, Conan he just kind of shoots from the hip. So I don't know, man. What do you think? Does it matter to you?
I mean, not really. Like I think that this just kind of circles back to what we were talking about with CM Punk, right? It's like there's a certain level of privacy and confidentiality that needs to happen here, and this is just paparazzi, wrestling paparazzi bullshit, as far as I'm concerned. But yet, I mean, we're sitting here talking about it, but like, I think that they've only ever really been mentioned on screen as a couple a handful of times since Adam Cole arrived in AEW. They did the whole thing with the Owen Hart. They both won that and had the matching gear for a little while, and it was cute. They did a couple mixed tags or whatever, but they promptly post-hastily went their separate ways and started working on things shortly after that in their singles run. And then Adam Cole got hurt. And then, Britt still was at the tippy top of the division, wasn't the champion, but, she was kind of the gatekeeper there for a hot minute. And then she just kind of disappeared, and we never really knew why. And then we hear later on that she may have had a mini stroke and all this and all that. And, at the end of the day, for me, like, I just look at it as I enjoy both of them as performers. We've not got to enjoy Britt Baker in a long time, and Britt Baker honestly is one of the reasons why I would turn AEW on every Wednesday.
Well, she did have that little thing with Mercedes. All in,
and it wasn't great.
It wasn't great. They built it for a couple of weeks, and then it happened at all in, and then we haven't seen her since. And it's now been 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. 2.5.
Yeah, and like I just feel like, and then Adam Cole, somebody that when he was under the NXT banner, we were coming in here and talking about his work every single week.
He was the top guy. He was the thing to watch on wrestling television every single week. Tony Khan even said it. There was a guy every week on NXT who I was concerned about, and it was Adam Cole. And rightfully so, because every single week, whatever Adam Cole was doing was the best thing on wrestling that week.
Yep.
And
and he's not got to live up to that potential
no,
in a bet on yourself scenario when you go to AEW.
no.
And
Well, and he got
it's
kicked. He got kicked in the head and got a concussion that was an unfathomable Sidney Crosby level concussion that he just could not come back from. And then, this broken ankle thing, which seems to be worse than, was just like a freak accident because he jumped off that stupid fucking riser that they thankfully have not brought back since in the last year and a half. I don't know, man. He's just had it's been bad luck for him every time. It's like he's cursed or something in AEW. So I don't know.
So for me
Keith Lee too, also cursed in AEW.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. And to bring that back full circle, no, man, I don't care. And I don't care for all the right reasons, because I want to see these folks happy, living their best professional life, entertaining us as fans. And I want them to be front and center. And, I hope they're able to get their fucking life sorted out, because they deserve that peace and happiness too, right?
Right, yeah. And absolutely. It's not a matter of like whether or not, because like to us, it's like, well, I hope that I wish them well because I like them as performers. But their personal lives are not, if they're not out there sharing their personal lives, like, pray for us or, keep us in your thoughts or whatever, then it's not my business.
Exactly.
They're currently not doing that. So, it's currently not our business. And if it becomes our business because we're like, hey, I know you guys are fans and I'm hurting in XYZ, okay, then we can talk about it but at this point, it's, not our business.
And it's like just to piggyback off of this, and like the whole thing with Nikki Bella and her husband, like we're talking about it because it's public. You know what I'm saying? Like, she tried to hit him with a shoe or whatever, and now they're fucking getting a divorce, and it's this crazy thing, and it's like, just it sucks that they have to live their life in front of the public, the general public that has no insight on anything and just wants to judge and point fingers and fucking Britt Baker's unhinged and fucking cares, man.
And I think that's the most egregious part. And I think we've glossed over that a little bit in the, like, they're trying to like pin this on Britt in the level of like, well, she's unhinged and she's this and that and this, and this is just another sign that she's unhinged. And it's like, no, this is you're wanting to pull a narrative out of somewhere that there isn't a narrative. And I don't know if it's like the, IWC spin machine that's trying to do this, or, just guys with podcasts like Conan who are trying to like, get some clicks or whatever. But like, this is not okay,
Nah. And I think that's just got to let people fucking deal with their personal woes in privacy, man. Like, let's just calm down. Let's pump the brakes. Let's chill out. Okay. Things that we should be focused on are things like syringes and foreheads and plastic bags over heads and just what the internet is just calling complete and total utter violence at the AEW All Out pay-per-view.
Yeah. So I have an overall thought on this, and then we can kind of go through it a little bit. My overall thought on this is just yet another example of how Tony Khan does not know how to book a show from front to back, because this was just chock full of violence from start to finish, and it was the wrong kind of violence. Now, people were the defenders at the time, and I kind of want to start here. The defenders at the time were like, was it too much violence when Mick Foley was thrown off of the top of Hell in a Cell? Was it too much violence when Bossman was hanged inside Hell in a Cell, or hanged inside of a steel cage? Although when Bossman was hanged, there was a lot of there was a lot of pushback on that. Like that was received.
I mean, that was the least egregious thing that was going on in WWE at that time. I mean, for fuck's sake, The Undertaker was crucifying motherfuckers.
Well, that was after that, but yes, the Undertaker crucifying Stone Cold, which was the religious community had a field day with. But the people talking about Terry Funk with stuff in ECW, and then what else? Like this, all these things, right? Stone Cold with the Crimson Mask in with Bret Hart. But the thing that the internet was missing, and the thing that I think Tony Khan is missing about all of these things, is all of these things happened. Not only did they not happen on the same show, they didn't happen in the same year. These were things that were like very strategically sort of spread out and dripped out and dripped out. And now I'd kind of like to go through, not the 0 hour pre-show, because that was nonsense. It was, if you were going to watch an AEW card, don't watch their pre-show, because it's the worst thing that you've seen since Rampage. So the main card kicked off with MJF versus Daniel Garcia, which is a perfectly good match.
Hey, this is a serious question. Is Rampage still a thing?
Rampage is absolutely still a thing. I saw a commercial for it. I haven't actually watched it, but I saw a commercial for it, and I've seen cards for it recently. The cards are not. It's nonsense. It's like it's like a watered down Sunday Night Heat. It's main event if like you didn't know who was if you didn't know anybody on the card. So we kicked off with MJF versus Daniel Garcia, which was a good little match.
Got a new pair of shoes.
I don't think that Daniel Garcia is the guy. He ain't that guy. And MJF ends up winning, although there's a little thing after the fact with this is where the violence kicks off, where they kind of write MJF off TV, because MJF, although he just came back, is now going away again to go and shoot a movie. So I don't know why nobody actually works in AEW, but nobody really works in AEW. They say, nobody wants to work anymore. Certainly not in AEW. They don't want to work anymore. And then we got the Young Bucks versus Blackpool Combat Club.
There's the old man yelling at the clouds again.
And we got the Young Bucks versus Blackpool Combat Club. It was what you expected it to be. It was garbage. It was a garbage match.
How dare you talk about the greatest tag team in the history of AEW, the Young Bucks, like that?
And then we got Will Ospreay versus Pac, which wasn't particularly violent, although nobody really sold anything. It was exactly the match you thought it was going to be, just big spots. It was all spots. And after coming off Young Bucks versus Blackpool Combat Club, obviously the Bucks had to get all their spots in. And then we got Will Ospreay and Pac, spot. There was like a flipping pile driver onto the ring apron at one point. And 30 seconds later, you would have never known somebody took that devastating maneuver. So it was a little disjointed, but people like that stuff, right? They like big move, big spots. And this was two of the guys who are the best at doing these big moves and big spots, just doing them to each other for 3 or 4 minutes, for whatever it was, 20, 25 minutes. This more violence now. Chris Statlander versus Willow Nightingale. This was an awful match. It was a Chicago street fight. There were tacks, there was barbed wire, there were chairs, there were tables. It sucked. It was garbage.
Why do you think it sucked? Did it suck because one of them, I think it was Chris Statlander, got busted open?
I mean, both of them were bleeding by the end of it because of the tacks. But yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't. They've been building this feud for a little while, but I feel like the build has sort of been mediocre. I don't know that it necessarily warranted a pure violence match, but this was the pure violence card. Then we got a big group of fuck off match. Okada, Takeshita, Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe for the Continental title. This wasn't quite the spot match that Ospreay versus Pac was, but this was a one-on-one spot match. It was fine. It wasn't too violent. It was fine. After this, Mercedes Moné and Hikaru Shida stunk the joint up. Had a stinker. You've
Well,
been
I mean, what happens whenever you pour gasoline into a dumpster fire?
and then shit in it. Because
Right.
this match sucked. I can't believe Dave gave it 2 3/4 stars. I thought it deserved like -6, but whatever. It was bad. Then we got Bryan Danielson versus Jack Perry for the world title, which had I think they both got color. They both bladed. They both got color, and then after this was the whole thing with now this on its own. I don't feel like was egregious, but the fact that we've already seen as much violence as we have, because MJF and Daniel Garcia got a similar amount of like Crimson Mask, blood as well. We got more of that, and Mox came out. They held. I actually thought that the ending segment was good in an isolated, in its own isolation. It was good. However, where it was in the card was like the thunder had already been stolen from this because we had already seen so much blood, so much violence, so much just depravity at this point that it was like it wasn't shocking. Like we were already numb to it. So it was really more poor booking getting up to this point. I didn't hate this segment, but I hated where it was in this card just because of how much we had already seen. This would have been more impactful starting off Dynamite or something because there was no blood per se. It was just a plastic bag over his head. And then, the unsanctioned lights out match at the end, which we knew was going to be violent as hell. And Hangman and Swerve really have built this feud. Really, I thought, despite Hangman just disappearing for long.
This was the right blow off for this feud.
It was, but it was not the right place to put it after we've already seen like 4 people get murdered. Right? Like there's already like Daniel Garcia already tried to murder MJF. Statlander and Nightingale already tried to murder each other. We've already seen, multiple people get color, right? Multiple people with crimson masks and just blood everywhere. The entire ring is already bloody at this point. And we've also just seen Jon Moxley murder Bryan Danielson, and they couldn't even bring Bryan Danielson a stretcher. They just carried him out like he was Spider-Man, like, oh, don't drop him. He's a hero. Kind of shit. Like, now, this match was unbelievably violent. It was crazy violent. It was more violent than anything up to this point. The syringe in the mouth.
I mean, it had to be.
To get any kind of pop, like you were already numb to like the standard level of violence. Like you were already way numb to it, and you have been for like 2-3 hours now. So this was just over the top, and it was, like I said, the correct. But they put all of that on the same card. Individually, do I think it was too violent? This match maybe was too violent for me. This was like ECW pay-per-view Sabu versus Sandman level unsanctioned violence. It was this match made me uncomfortable. This match was not for me. But I get it. There's a crowd for this, but they've packed so much of it onto one card that it was wasted. It was like all these guys put their bodies on the line and put themselves through hell, but like it was so overdone at this point. It was just like none of it felt special. We knew we knew it was coming ahead of time, and they didn't save it. They should have saved these things as big payoffs. And, the ones that were payoffs were overshadowed by bullshit that didn't need to get spot fests and color.
I don't think overshadowed is the right word. I think
upstaged.
They were lessened by other bullshit.
So it was,
and you're absolutely right. You make a valid point. Like I've got no disagreements with anything that you said, because from the standpoint of where AEW books a pay-per-view, it always seems like, that pay-per-view is like everybody's blow off to everything because it's at a pay-per-view and it's got to be special to those people in it. But it hurts the overall flow of the show.
And they
And
do
like
it. They do a pay-per-view every month now. No shit. These ones are back to back. These are like 2 weeks apart.
2 weeks apart. And it just becomes this dick measuring contest, and it's not good for the flow of the show. It's not good for the consumer of the product, right? Because like you said, by the time you get to a match that's supposed to be the conclusion of this ridiculously personal blood feud, and it's got to go way, way, way too much over the top because of things that have happened before it that have lessened its value.
And I'm gonna say that I was actually a fan of Hangman burning down Swerve's house. I was a fan of that. I liked that. I liked that segment.
That was different.
I didn't dislike that at all. I know the internet was critical of it. I am not critical of it. I thought it was good. In fact, I think Swerve and Hangman is probably one of the best feuds AEW's had since Chris Jericho was the first champion.
Agreed.
But again, the way I watched it was more or less in isolation because I was interested in it. I wasn't interested in a lot of the other nonsense that was going on. And I feel like at every chance, and I don't think Tony knows the difference. And I feel like but every chance he got and every chance that everybody else on the card got was like, oh, well, they're going to do this. I need to do something like that. And it's like, that's not how wrestling works. Like you can't, I feel like they had their toes stepped on every single time, and I think that they need a guy. There's a guy like Roman Reigns is a great example because if like Roman Reigns is going to do a table spot, you're not allowed to do a table spot. Roman will come up to you, be like, "Hey, I heard you want to do a table spot. I've got a table spot at the end of this match. You don't do it. You're not doing a table spot. You're not doing a spot off the barricade. I've got a barricade. I've got a timekeeper spot. I've got you don't get to throw anybody off of a balcony. I'm throwing a guy off a balcony. You don't get to do that. And there's just none of that in AEW. It's like
there isn't. There's no self-policing, which is why the product suffers, I think, because everybody's too busy, too concerned with getting their shit in that they forget that they're there to entertain the fans, right? And the flow of the show helps with that a lot. And we've seen a lot of not shit motherfuckers take some extremely like important type spots.
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably the best way to put it. And I think with this one, like they really kicked it off with not to say that Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander are not shit motherfuckers, but like, was their blow off as important as Hangman and Swerve? No,
I don't.
Was their blow off?
Thing. I mean, maybe because it was a women's feud that a lot of people were invested in. That wasn't Tony Storm. I think that there was, from that type of viewer, hey, like, let's see who's next in line here. I don't, maybe, but
neither of them are next in line. Mariah May's already feuding with she just beat up on Wednesday Yuki Sakazaka.
Yeah, but that
we've
doesn't
not
have
seen in 2 years.
But that doesn't have long-term legs. That's
no, it doesn't. But
that's a paper champion defense. That's a Rocky Balboa title defense right there, bub. You know what I mean? Like, it's her first defense. She's not gonna lose.
No, you're right.
So this is what's really next in line, and I don't know. I mean, maybe, but I'm not even talking about just that. Like, Daniel Garcia opening match. We didn't need that here.
And he lost, and then MJF is now off of TV for a while.
Yeah, we didn't need this here. And it just made the main event really, really just like, can we just get this over with? Like,
yeah, like we had already, like, okay, we saw this already. Like,
yeah, we'd already seen all of this. So I don't know, man. I don't have a problem with any of the spots that we did see. You know, that the internet was up in arms about the plastic bag, and you know, like you said, isolated those incidents. You know, like that could have definitely let off a dynamite and been enthralling television that would have kept a viewer.
Yeah,
which
especially if we were going to hear again from them later.
Yeah, like these are the problems with the AEW product. And you know, Sean, one of our listeners was like, hey man, you guys talk an awful lot about AEW these days.
I'm trying to watch it. I'm doing my damnedest to watch, or at least have it on while I do something else. But every time I watch it, it's like, even if I'm not paying super close attention, it's like I'm seeing egregious errors, like just stuff that's just like wrestling fan 101. And I'm just like, some of it's fine. It's like, okay, I get they're playing to the audience, but at the same time, it's just like, we're just going to keep doing this. And it's like, you're shoving the wrong thing down my throat, and you're stealing thunder from guys who have finally built something, you know? And I think that's kind of the biggest thing. Was the needle in the face a little much? I cringed at that. It was too much. That was, for me, that was too much. Some fans loved it though. So I can't say that it's not, there isn't necessarily an audience for that, and a time and a place for it. But the problem is that the thunder to that was stolen, to where, while that should have been such a, like, oh my God, like there were a few things coming out of there that people were just like, this was too much violence. This was too much violence. And, you know, there's the argument to be made that, you know, you can't bring your kids to this because of the violence. And that was always the argument to be made, particularly during the Attitude Era, but especially for ECW, which did eventually go out of business and fail because their audience just wasn't as big as it could have been or should have been. You know, a lot of those guys went on to be huge stars like RVD, but at the same time, like, it just isn't. Is it good for business to do this? And I think history shows it's not. I think AEW ratings shows it's not necessarily good for business.
I wouldn't say history shows it's not. Okay, we're talking about big money business in the Attitude in NWO eras. All right,
right.
And while the appetite was quickly outgrown, I mean, let's calm down. Okay,
some
of the best memories that we have as wrestling fans. What are you talking about, bub?
I understand what you're saying, but like, it wasn't this much. You know what I mean? Like, the violence is what I'm saying. Wasn't this much. There was a lot of other stuff. And
bro, what are you talking about? Stone Cold got a gun pulled on him,
which that also was heavily criticized.
Oh, that was so. They had to apologize for that.
They had to apologize for that. They had to come out and be like, "We sorry. That was we went too far. Oops, our bad."
Love it.
I don't think they necessarily hit that level, but this is one of those things where it's like, a lot of these things could have been big payoffs, but the thunder was stolen.
100%.
The carpet was ripped out from underneath them, and there needs to be some self-policing.
The Roman Reigns effect was what we're going to call that moving forward.
The Roman Reigns effect needs to take place to kind of make sure that the big things hit as big as they're supposed. Like, we're supposed to be stung by them. I'm supposed to it's supposed to hit me like I'm a plucked guitar string.
Bing.
And it didn't do that because everybody else had already done it.
Yeah. And I hate to keep harping on this, but this is why, like, I don't know. I feel like this is why attendance is declining and why viewership is declining. There's actually a lot of great talent over there that I enjoy watching. I don't know. I don't know. Breaking news, though. Xavier Woods has walked away from Kofi Kingston.
Dun dun dun.
Said,
That's
I'm
cool.
done. I'm out. I'm out of here. I'm gonna change. I'm out.
That's cool.
I'm
I'm ready
tired
to
of
watch
this.
that. I'm ready to watch that feud.
It's good. Woodsy needs his chance, man.
Woodsy
He's the
does
only
need-
one left.
And I'm super, super excited to see him.
He got a lot of work to do, though.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if you want me to seriously believe that Xavier Woods is gonna challenge Gunther for the fucking world championship, like that, some work needs to be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you put him in a match with Gunther, if he walks into the ring next week and walks up to Gunther and says, I beat you once or whatever, had a chance to beat you or whatever, because Gunther just fucking mows through everybody. And they put that in a match for a fucking world title. Xavier Woods is done.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Done.
they need to build, like, he needs to, like, he needs to maybe, like, turn heel and, like, go feud with LA Knight, maybe beat him or something, or maybe on Friday. I don't know.
No, he needs to do more than that. No.
I'm just saying, if he wants a singles title, like, it's got to be Intercontinental or or the US title. I think that, could he be the guy who breaks Braun Breaker?
No.
That'd be. I mean, probably not. I mean, the only other guy he's got to fight with is LA Knight.
He's got to start mowing through fucking the Wyatt Six, Alpha Academy, American Alpha Academy version 3.4.
No,
he got to beat all three of them guys. He's got to fucking
American Made. That's who they are right now.
He's got to beat Paul Ellering in a fucking a three-legged race. Like, I'm going to need to see some W's here. Okay. And I'm going to need to see some meaningful television time here. Okay. Like,
Paul Ellering in a three-legged race. I'd actually watch that. That sounds like a good time. Let's watch that.
Good for Woodsy. I hope it works out. I think Triple H will take care of him.
I hope so. I hope they have a plan. Plans are good.
I think they do, because I mean, he's been wearing black gear like the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Plans are good.
So I definitely think they got a plan. Because, they had their Power Ranger gear and he wore the Black Ranger and Kofi was a Green Ranger. And,
hopefully. I mean, I think I've always loved Xavier Woods. I think he's great.
Listen, I've shit all over Woodsy a lot of times on this particular program, sir. With his goddamn backwoods, that fucking God bless America.
Really, I like the backwoods. I think that's cool.
God bless.
I'm into it.
But I'm happy for him. I hope he gets a proper run.
We'll see.
He's still what is he? He's probably like 36, 37?
Yeah, he's younger than we are by a lot.
I don't think he's that young.
Hold on. I'll tell you how.
Because I mean,
how young he is.
Kofi's like 45. Big E's like 39 or 40.
He is 38 years old.
Yeah, so I mean, good for him. He's been around a long time. A fucking great time to fucking possibly make a singles run. But he's gonna have to spend some time distancing himself from the New Day.
And he's gonna have to spend some time getting some W's, beating some people who are worth beating. Some Wyatt Six, some Karrion Kross, maybe some Akam and Razor, maybe some whom else? I don't know. Bronson Reed. He could beat Bronson Reed. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. I don't know.
One big SOB. We're about to watch 2 big meaty men smashing meats here.
Good Lord. So hey, man, what's your take on this bloodline pivot?
With Roman and Cody.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm sold yet. I'm like, I saw it happen. It's like, I get it. But to me, it's almost like I feel like Cody doesn't belong in this feud.
No, and he said that too, and like, I just don't get it, right? And it's like, friend of the show Pat Martin asked me what I thought about the Wyatt Six the other day, and I was like, it's very B movie sequel to me. This is that, right? Like,
Yeah.
now that Roman's back, and
Now they team up.
We're not like moving towards what we all thought we were gonna get. I feel like this becomes less and less important.
Well, I mean, we might.
Roman just outshines this new bloodline just in such a way that like only Jacob Fatu can add value to, right?
Yeah. It's because Jacob Fatu. Oh my, he is so good.
Like they've made him out to look like an absolute fucking monster. And now they did the same thing with Solo, right? Which is why Solo's in this spot. But I've got to believe that their worst fear has come to light, and that Jacob Fatu is a bigger deal than Solo Sikoa.
Because he looks unbelievable. Okay, the guy looks unbelievable. He moves in a way that is unbelievable. He's like, when he just carries dudes up like without his hands because he's holding a dude, just climbs up the rope and power slams a guy, backflip power slams a guy off the top rope. You're just like, it's especially with the hair flowing and everything when he does it, it's just like, what? Who is this guy? How does he do this? I can't believe it. He's unbelievable talent. This guy is like, this guy is next level. Like, you want to talk about like, guys, like there's guys in AEW who got to get their shit in, get their spot and stuff. But like, oh my God. When Jacob
Fatu is the spot.
He is the spot. It happened so fast. You're just like, what the fuck did I just watch? Thankfully, WWE comes back with fucking slow motion so I can see what just happened. And I go, oh my God. He is must see television.
Yeah, like I think he's the biggest star waiting to happen in the bloodline, and it's not Solo Sikoa.
It's not Tama Tonga either.
No, and Tongaloa, don't even get me fucking started on Tongaloa. Okay. Like, I can't with this fucking guy. Okay. The more he fucks up on national television, the more shit I find on the internet of him fucking up in Japan, or him fucking up in what the hell was the Lucha Underground? Like, the more and more I see him fuck up on television, I see it more and more on the internet in his past life. Like, what? This is definitely a hire that is not what you know, it's who you know. Okay.
Yeah. Who your father is. And who's your daddy.
Bless America. And like, I want them to be awesome, because I like that they both look like stone cold fucking killers. And they're Haku's fucking kids. Yeah. And Haku is a fucking badass. And
well, so I think Tama Tonga lives up to that.
Yes.
Tongaloa, however, is like, man, I can't think of anybody who's
he's like the little runt that didn't get enough of mom's nipple, like in the litter.
He's like I wanted to compare him to Spike Dudley, but Spike Dudley was actually good at this.
Jesus.
Right.
Where's the shovel? Oh, yeah. Tom's burying fools here.
Like Spike Dudley was actually good at getting killed. Tongaloa is supposed to like hit people and like make it look impressive. It always looks silly. It looks, and that's the problem. It's not that he looks bad or whatever, or like it looks silly. He looks silly. It looks like they pulled me out of the crowd and they were like, Thomas, go ahead, do this spot. It's that bad. And
I don't think you could be that bad, bud. You've watched enough wrestling in your life that I think you could.
He's been doing this for so long. Like this man is like a 12-year veteran. Like he is like. Has anybody ever done this long and like just been good?
Yeah, Hikaru Shida.
Good
but
point.
I want to circle back to Cody, right?
You know what? He doesn't stink up the joint like that. He just fucks up spots and makes him look silly. But still, I guess they don't put him in the position to like stink up the joint. They're just like, all right, do the low blow, and somehow he ends up punching his brother in the head. And then they show it in slow motion. And you're like, why? You punch Tama Tonga right in the head.
I mean, maybe he's a comedic guy and we just don't even know it. You know,
it's just I mean, it's funny. It's not supposed to be funny though, but it's funny every time.
All right, so let's circle back to fucking Cody Rhodes. Like, is this really where we're at right now? We've got to like reaffirm Roman Reigns as a top guy standing next to Cody Rhodes, to like detach Cody Rhodes from this, to get Roman Reigns into the place to finish the Bloodline storyline. Is that what this is? Is this a little like crossing of the bridge? It's confusing to me.
I am not a fan of them teaming up. That I'll put it at that. I am not a fan. Maybe it's supposed to make me uncomfortable, but at this point, I am not sold, and I am in fact very skeptical. And I think that there is, I think this is questionable. I think it's going to end up fine. I just think that this next. And they're probably just biding their time just because of, look, AEW is not a threat. They don't have to. They do not have to, like,
Shots
fired.
They're
going to maintain the ratings, and I think they're just trying to keep their stars in the limelight. Hey, we got Roman back. Cody's still here. This Bloodline shit is hot. We're just gonna drag this on a little bit. We're gonna have a tag match. Roman's gonna tag with Cody because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And this is classic wrestling stuff, and we need something to do in this off month.
Yeah, but it's just with these two, like, what? Why?
I mean, I already said I don't like it. I don't have a good answer.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Like,
no logical sense. Like, none.
I mean, unless like they win and the Bloodline fucks off, and then like Roman beats the hell out of Cody immediately following or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna watch just to see if, like, because here's the thing: is that like they
want Roman to be a baby face.
We'll see where it goes. I'm look. If this is garbage, I will absolutely. I don't
see how it's not. Like, the match will probably be fucking phenomenal. Okay, like let's be real. The match will probably be good. Okay, but what are they gonna do about the build? How does this make sense?
I hope.
What do we got? 2 weeks.
Just gets Cody out of it.
We got 2 weeks. Bad Blood.
2 weeks to Bad Blood. I hope that Bad Blood just gets Cody out of the picture for this and moves him.
Just take him out. He doesn't need to be written out of it. Like, I don't. This is the thing that I'm hung up on. Why is Cody here?
Because they don't have another place for him, and
that's a problem.
Yes. And he sells tickets. And I think that's the thing, is they don't have anywhere else to put him. So they're going to put him here. And I think that's honestly, I think you've just sort of defined the problem with SmackDown, because there isn't the top talent on SmackDown. Like, once you get out of Bloodline Cody Rhodes, like, now we're like looking at LA Knight. Like that's now we're at the US title, and it's just not. There's
And
nobody.
the mid card titles are where all the excitement's at right now.
Yeah, and there's no top. There are no top, and I think Roman being on top for as long as he was really
squandered a lot, didn't it?
It did. It really pushed a lot of things down. And
I'll tell you what, though, we were here for it, bro. Like I think that it's not fair to do hindsight booking here. You know,
it's not. And I agree, but I think this is sort of the like we were high. It was high for so long that I think this is the fallout from that. I think this is the like. We say this in sports all the time is that like, they borrow from the future to get the titles today. And, the Pittsburgh Penguins did that for years. And I think we're in a rebuilding sort of status. You know what I mean? And luckily with pro wrestling, like those don't last a long time. And we're coming up on the holiday season here. So this is sort of the time to sort of like, get your stars out, let them do their, let them play the hits. But, I think this is sort of a time where, maybe we get a Seth Rollins back on Friday nights in January.
Dude, I don't think, I don't think his timeline for return is not one of optimism.
Maybe not. I think there will be somebody to come up and to move Cody out of this. But it's not now. And it's not between now and Bad Blood.
And I hear your argument, bud. I really do. I hear your argument. Like, we're trying to build fresh talent, this, that, and the third. But, like, we got to have one in the chamber here because this just makes no logical sense. Because we as wrestling fans are eagerly awaiting Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes 3, right? Like, the series is 1-1, and there's still money to be made there. And I think the thing that you chose to ignore of my statement was that they're trying to make Roman a baby face.
I chose to ignore that because I hate it.
Right? What's to say we'll get a little Cody Rhodes heel turn?
He is still so babyface right now.
I'm just saying.
I mean, it might be Roman Tweener.
Saying.
I think we're gonna get Roman Tweener before.
I'm just saying. I mean, I've got your attention.
I mean, I don't know.
I've got your attention.
I just don't think they're going to do it.
You're thinking about it.
They're really going to have to do something. Like it's really going to have to be out of nowhere.
You're thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it, but I'm thinking about how out of nowhere it's going to have to be. Like it's,
and that'll mean it'll be fucking perfect.
Hopefully,
just like Seth Rollins.
Hitting, yeah. Bang! Yeah. I'm not saying I wouldn't be into it.
I would love to see a heel.
Can you imagine they'd do the American Nightmare logo, but it would be like blacked out. The blacked out American Nightmare logo. I'd probably buy that shirt.
I mean, he could play. He could play the best parts of him. He could be who he is now with the sincerity, you know what I'm saying? And like spin that into some nonsense about, like he was with dashing Cody Rhodes, and be a little bit of Ric Flair, a little bit of Dad, a little bit of his brother. It'd be fucking phenomenal.
Who knows? Maybe he goes tweener, right? Like maybe he turns on
snarky cocksucker. Just
yeah.
Play MJF's role better than
you
know it.
He is
fucking Rhodes.
MJF is his asshole.
Just saying, that'd be a lot of fun to watch.
I think it's that time. Do we have anything else? Is it that special time?
Yeah, it is that special time. right, Bub, what was your match of the week?
I have a shocking one, actually. Okay.
All right.
So it's not so much that it's my match of the week because it was actually the best match last week. It was my match of the week because going into it, I thought it was going to be the worst shit ever, and they actually managed to make it entertaining. And before I tell you who it is, I'm going to explain the scenario. And if you figure it out, that's fine, but don't spoil it. So it was an 8-man mixed tag match, which 4-on-4 mixed tag in and of itself sounds like a fucking garbage can thrown in a dumpster full of diarrhea. But they actually managed to make it entertaining and interesting and fun and good. And I am talking about the opening match of Monday Night Raw last week, which was the Wyatt 6 versus American Made in a 8-man tag, in an 8-man tornado tag street fight. I don't know how they made it good and made it make sense and made it fun, but somehow they did. And it was over. I mean, it was pretty short. I want to say it went from entrance to pin 15 minutes. But somehow it all was interesting and fun. And the Wyatt 6 got a big long entrance and it was cool. They got the chair that's got the lantern on it that's supposed to be Bray, and they all came out. Everybody got a little spot, but it wasn't too much.
Be a movie sequel.
Exactly. It was just the right amount of sort of campy and but also like good wrestling and good spots, and everybody looked good. Everybody got a few moments to shine. Nothing was too much. And going in, I'm going, oh God, this is going to be shitty. And then by the end of it, I'm like, that didn't suck. That was cool. And so that's my match of the week, because I think they took what was for certain easy to be, could have easily been the worst match I've seen all year. And I was like, hey, I was entertained for 15 minutes. That was my match of the week.
Bro just fucking went on like a 2-hour rant about fucking street fights and weapons and shit. Now he's gonna just come back in here and pick a WWE match.
Nobody spilled a drop of blood.
Fucking weapons with a fucking hypocrite, man.
Not a drop.
Listen to this fucking hypocrite. What are we doing here, man? Like.
Exactly. On its face, should have been, like I said, a full garbage can thrown into a dumpster that was on fire full of diarrhea.
Fucking Tom, dude. It's a fucking E drone, man. Just fucking, if it ain't the E, it's not for me, man. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, fucking Tom. Yeah, fuck.
Well, why are my haters surfer dudes?
That just.
But it hates like me. Just spends all day surfing.
It just seems the type, you know.
My haters are surfer dudes.
It just seems the type.
Fair enough. I actually really enjoy California as well.
You know, it just, for whatever reason, that's the voice that flowed when I opened my mouth.
Fair enough, but I mean, it was I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I was like. And I went into it, like I said, the reason it's my match of the week is that I went into it going, oh, this is going to suck. And then I watched it and I went, why did that entertain me for 15 minutes? They did an all right job. And I think the beauty of it is that it really didn't go very long. And everybody got a little spot. And then they won, and it was exciting. And it was like mostly entrance. Like that was probably 5 of the 15 minutes. Great, just good stuff. They proved me wrong, and like when I'm proven wrong on the spot, it manages to stick in my head, and I go, all right, you know what? You've earned my respect, so I'm going to give it to you. Now that doesn't mean this isn't all going to be hot garbage moving forward, but
yeah, I'm proud of you, pal. You took it in stride. My match of the week, which really shouldn't be any surprise to anybody at this point because it has been my match of the week 4 of the last 5 that it's happened, and that's Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes. You want to talk about one-upsmanship at its finest in the proper sense of what that is. Not the AEW all-in card or all-out card, but them coming out and bringing the house down, fucking week after week, one-upping themselves. I'm here for it. I like that we're building mid-card talent. I like that we're building futures of the stars of tomorrow. It's just fucking bums me out that we're doing that at the detriment to the stars of today. And that I think that piece needs to get figured out pretty quickly, if I'm being honest with you. And yeah, so that was my match of the week.
What do you think about if one of those guys ends up winning the Rumble?
Andrade or Carmelo Hayes?
Or is at least one of the last 4?
I believe Andrade has the talent to do so. He does not have the vernacular to hang with Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, or Cody Rhodes for that matter. He's going to need
a mouthpiece.
And there's that mouthpiece is in WWE being miscast right now, and they need to make that happen. Carmelo Hayes, I think that if he wins the Rumble, it's believable.
I would say that he probably could be a last 4 guy, but would need another year before he could be a guy that wins the Rumble. And I think that Carmelo Hayes, to me, because he's such a young guy, I think that if he's one of the last 4 in the Rumble this year, especially if he enters early,
a la Gunther.
Yeah, especially if he enters early and just goes and has a great Rumble, and is one of the last 4 guys, and is eliminated. It doesn't matter if you're one of the last 4 guys. It doesn't matter whether you're the last guy eliminated or the third to last guy eliminated.
No, that top 4, that last 4 is pretty indicative of how the year is going to go.
Yeah, I think that's the spot for him. I would actually like to see both of those guys in the last 4, especially if they get Andrade a mouthpiece, maybe even Zelina Vega. I mean, they were so
That's what
good.
I was kind of talking about.
They were so good together in NXT. And, I know she wants to have her little singles run, and they're doing that, and they're kind of giving her what. But I would love to. Yeah. So it would be. I think that I would hope that if you're WWE creative, that's at least on the table, and that's at least a discussion in that room, because I think that and you know what, these guys are getting time. They're getting the ability to showcase what they can do, and you're right, because they've been knocking it out of the park every week.
And I'm gonna tell you what, they need to focus on getting some people going and getting a new top 4, final 4 in that Royal Rumble, because Kevin Owens can only save the day so many fucking times.
Kevin Owens can only be the number 1 contender so many times.
And we just exhausted that with Cody Rhodes and having to gift him a title shot. Okay, we've exhausted that.
Yeah, exactly. We've absolutely exhausted it.
So let's get some things moving here. Okay. All right. Hey, but you know what? That's a good spot that we as WWE fans can live in. We're worried about what's coming down the pipes next. AEW doesn't even know what's going on right now. So there's that.
I wish I didn't know what was going on in AEW, but I unfortunately do. I watched it.
All right. Well, if you're still here hanging out with us, man, we appreciate that. If you hit that thumbs up button, we greatly appreciate it. Helps us out, I guess that's what they tell me anyways. Yeah, check us out over on the audio side. We're over there. I'll go live as soon as we click stop. I guess that doesn't really matter much for the audio folks. They're going to hear this next week. And anyways, yeah. I've talked enough for one day. Thanks for hanging out. It's all love. We'll catch you next week. One Fall WrestleCast.